Hello, so we are going to talk about how to properly and successfully take a QRI. So, think about the fact that when most of you read, myself included, you pretty much just skim over information, right? Um, it says, what kind of reader are you? Are you a reader who really thinks about what you are reading? Or are you a reader who just says the words to get through the reading? So that's pretty much number two for most of us, right? Unless we really, really care about what we're reading. So the way around pseudo reading is to read slowly and carefully. If any of these apply to you, then you have this issue. Like if you do okay in your homework, but you don't do well in tests. If you just like read it and then you're like, wait, I have no idea what I just read. Like, I don't get this. Or if you read it and you're just like, okay, yeah, I have no idea what I just read. Like, I just kind of said the words. So what we're going to talk about then really briefly today then is how to do well in your QRI and get around these problems. So the first thing is you actually have to answer the question that's being asked. What I told the kids yesterday is that I've been teaching literacy and this is my third year, and I've had so many kids say, oh, dude, I knew that answer. I just thought it was asking something else. And I'm like, I know you know that answer, but you need to read the question. So you have to think about what kind of question it's asking. Is it a right there in the text, like a literal question, like for example, if you're reading about snowmen, is it like, how big are snowmen? That would be like a literal question, right? Because you can find the answer right in the text. Other questions, though, are inferential. You have to kind of like figure it out. So it might be like, what are some possible reasons for people making snowmen? Maybe that's not in that text, okay? And you kind of have to like think about it and figure it out. On your QRI, you'll either have 8 or 10 questions, and half of them will be literal and half of them will be inferential, which means you need to know how to like look in the text and write down exactly what the text tells you, or you need to think about like kind of figure out like a reasonable answer to the question. Okay, so I'll give you examples in just a bit here. So how do we do this? What's our steps for success? Okay, you have to like look over the questions first. Okay, good readers who have to read something with questions, look at the questions first because like you don't want to waste your time, right? Figure out what you need to get out of the reading and just focus on that. Then figure out exactly what the question is asking you. Now, when you do these QRIs, or for anything else that you have to do well on, like an ACT or something like that, you need to read slowly and carefully. Pretend what you are reading is like a letter from like your girlfriend, or I mean, I don't know. We had funny examples in class yesterday, and I just can't come up with any right now because I'm tired. But honestly, you want to take this very seriously. Like if you read this slowly and carefully, somebody will give you like a jillion, zillion, $1,000,000. All right, what I do sometimes is I take a pen and I like kind of follow like each word and just like make sure that I'm reading every single word and I don't miss anything. Okay, so read slowly and carefully. You want to mark parts of the text that you think are important. So like if you're reading about snowmen and you know one of the questions is obviously going to be what's the main idea, or if one of the questions is about how fast they melt and you come across a part in the text that talks about melting, put like an asterisk or a star there or underline that part so it's easy for you to go back and find the correct answer. Okay, write questions you have about the text. Put a little question mark by something, if you think you need to come back and figure something out later. Drop this one I don't really care for, but some of you are more artistically inclined, but if you want to like draw little stick figure guys to help you understand the text while you read, I guess that's a good strategy too. And then like look at all the text features, right? So if there's a heading that says melting snowmen and you have a question about like how fast do snowmen melt, obviously that's going to help you find it, right? So pay attention to the help the text as well. Okay, so let me see, where was I? Okay, all right, so here are your hints. Okay, now after you read the question, okay, after you read the question, you want to break the question down. Okay, make sure you understand exactly what it's asking you, and we'll practice that in just a moment. And please keep in mind that you want to answer the question based on what you read. Don't answer the question based on what you think you know. Answer the question based on exactly what's in the text because that's what this test is measuring, okay? So here, let's try it. You have an article that your teacher gave you called Water Worries. Before you read it, here are the questions. What is the main idea? What will happen if the world runs out of fresh water? Why is the ocean salty? And what alternative or other option did the author suggest as a way to solve the freshwater shortage problem? I want you to very slowly and carefully read each of these questions again to yourself. I want you to slowly and carefully read the article, and as you read, I want you to underline the answers to these questions and put like, number 2, like if you find out what will happen if the world runs out of fresh water, underline all that stuff and put a 2 by it, so you know that helps you answer question number 2, right? Okay, when you are done, I want you to come back and I am going to quietly show, yeah, actually let me just ask you to pause here. Okay, so pause and then I'm going to go through the answers with you. All right, now I'm not going to answer the main idea question first. I'm not going to answer the main idea question first because it's the hardest question. I'm going to go through all the other questions, and then when I'm pretty sure I know what was the author really trying to tell me in this article, what's the author's message, that's what I'm going to write for the main idea. So for what will happen if the world runs out of fresh water, the key points of that question are runs out in fresh water, and you should have had an answer like this. Number 3, why is the ocean salty? Your key words like ocean and salty, right? Okay, so the correct answer would be oceans are salty because of the water cycle. Oops, let me jump back. If you had anything different from that, it's not correct because it's not exactly from the text, okay? The last question before the main idea is, what alternative did the author suggest? And this is really the only correct answer according to the text. Now for the main idea, okay, and remember you can pause this if I'm going too fast. You have to infer. All those other questions were literal. This is the inferential question. So think about it. It's about freshwater shortage. Bad stuff's going to happen. She offers a solution. Okay, so the correct answer has to include these 2 ideas, which I want you to read to yourself. Pause. Think about an answer. And there you go. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and we'll start QRIs on Monday. Unless you have time to start them in class today, please be wonderful to Miss Helen, and I will see you all on Monday. Take care.